Hi, my name's Michael. I'm here with Paula, who's the Communications Officer for Kambarang, Prepare, Produce, Provide. And I don't know much about this, but I do know that adults are learning from kids, and kids are learning from adults, and
Yeah.
kids are learning from each other. So I'm really excited to hear more about Kambarang.
Okay, thanks, Michael. I thought I'd start off with explaining what Kambarang actually means before we get to the aim. So Kambarang's actually the name of one of the Indigenous seasons. So it's about life in the bush, like new life, new colour. I suppose that really goes with what you were saying about teachers learning from students, students learning from teachers. Just a big time of celebration in the Australian bush. So our aim is to support young Indigenous students. So they're from all over Western Australia, school-age students, mainly Year 11 and 12 students that are studying either hospitality or kitchen operations. So we help them to basically learn and build on skills that they can take outside of the classroom. So whether that is serving at the front of house, so serving the customers, or whether they are in the kitchen using their food prep skills, giving them opportunities that they can take with them when they finish school. So we teach them about communication, about working effectively with others, and also they get a great opportunity to work with Indigenous chefs, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous chefs, actually. Yeah. So I suppose our aim builds in with the benefits for the students, so they get to connect to each other's Indigenous cultures because the students are from all over Western Australia. They have different experiences and different connections. So they learn how to use native ingredients, different herbs, different spices, foraging. For some of the students, it was the first time they've actually been to the beach and been foraging, especially down the West Australia Margaret River region. So they learn about different foods and just building confidence, whether that is confidence for speaking to adults or confidence in just speaking to other people.
And WA is really huge, and it has so many different terrains and different temperatures and different
Yeah.
climates, all sorts of stuff. So how did that play out?
Well, some of the students were actually from the Kimberley region. They found Margaret River really cold, and they had never experienced that before. They wanted to go back up north. You would think that people coming from like 40-degree heat would be enjoying the Margaret River temperatures, but yeah, they were in jumpers, long pants. But for some of them, they'd never seen the ocean, they'd never seen the whales before. So it was an amazing experience for those students, both experiencing what we have down here, but they also shared what they experienced up in the Kimberley. So they did a presentation of where they come from and what we could experience if we went to see them. So for 2016, we had the following schools come down. So they don't have to come down with their teacher, which is why there's no teacher's name written for the Swan View, because that was actually one student who I took for the first time when she was with me, and she enjoyed it so much she asked if she could come back. So we had Hamilton Hill, Hampton, Fitzroy, Woodvale, Northern, and from the eastern states, TAFE Western, which were all TAFE age students who came down, and they were sort of mentors for the younger students, which was really good as well.
Fantastic. And is this the first year of this?
This is the third year, and
Okay.
each time we've stayed at a different place and just kept building. So it doesn't have to be the same schools. Some of them stay the same, but it depends on how many students you actually have in your course at the time. Creating the journey. So what we've done over the last 3 years is started off the journey to Margaret River in different ways, and this year we actually made a art piece that was put onto all the t-shirts that the students could wear down there, so it was in all of our photos and something they could take away with them. So we had Auntie Netta come down from Urban Indigenous, and she discussed the Roland's mission and the stolen generation with the students and how they can create artwork for healing. So you've got all the handprints and the circles representing the different schools and where they've come from, and each school actually created their own artwork in each of the circles,
Mm-hmm.
and then we all came together to do the dot paintings. the sort of boomerang shapes represent people coming together in their meeting place, and all the colours go back to representing Kambarang as well, with all the colours coming from the bush. So once the students did their first day at Cyril Jackson, they all met at school, about 3 buses full of students and luggage, and headed down to Margaret River, where they started masterclasses. So the masterclasses are with local producers and chefs that have travelled down from Perth to be with us, who we work with throughout the year. So you can see some of the students there from Fitzroy, with Yoda, and the other side you've got Josh Whiteland there as well, preparing down at the Margaret River Swit. So, yeah.
And what did the producers and the foragers, or the people helping out, the adults, what did they get from that?
So the people that were helping out, we got to actually go to their farm or to their kitchen and experience their life and their produce and how they actually make it, and why it's so important for us to be using local produce, and how the entire chain happens.
So they got to share their stories and celebrate what they do?
Yeah, so they celebrated their stories, their produce, why are they in Margaret River, why is that the place for them, and why is their produce so special to the area as well. On the way to Margaret River, before they actually reached TINGRITH House, which is where the students stayed, they ended up at Miller's Ice Cream. So they did a cheese making demonstration, as well as churning their own ice cream and sorbets, which were used for the function. So you can see the students on the right hand side are watching how to make cheese. So I think they're at the stage where they're cutting through the curds in the whey, and then each student got a turn at milking a cow for the first time, which is not easy. So that was just a bit of fun and team building as well, because remember, these students came from 6-7 different schools who have never even met each other before. So that's why the first day and doing these masterclasses on the way is really important, for them to meet local producers and to meet each other, essentially.
I'm thinking there'd be lots of laughter in that barn.
Yeah, yeah. There's many more photos that go with that experience as well. The Kimberley Exchange was a really special masterclass that was just for the students from Fitzroy Crossing, who come from the Kimberley region, which is obviously different to our region down in Perth. So Yoda and Robyn created a dessert, well, not a dessert, sorry, they created a dish with the Kimberley students with pearl meat. So they brought down their own pearl meat from the Kimberley region, and then worked with Yoda as well as Robyn to create the taste of the Kimberley, which was served to each of the 100 guests down at the Kambarang event. So it was very full-on taste. It was very complex taste, yeah.
And so that produce, that came with the students on their travels?
They came with the students. So they couldn't bring down 100 of the pearl shells, so we served it on the individual tasting plates. But yeah, they brought down the pearl meat themselves, and then the finger limes were all brought down from Perth. They didn't have to bring anything else down with them. Yeah, so we all tasted it. The students went off and did that themselves and plated each one of those during the function as well. So that was really special to them, who then presented it to Josh at the Kambarang event as an exchange of culture.
It's phenomenal. That's a whole end-to-end experience for them, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They've been working on this for an entire year, actually, since last year's masterclass, where their teacher came down and met Yoda, and he's been travelling up there to meet the students and create this for them. The students went to a wood fire bread masterclass, and we actually ended up using the bread for the event on the Saturday. Fresh bread was brought down for them in the morning. So they worked with Santana and Sherry, who owned Margaret River Woodfire Pizza, Woodfire Breads. The students actually got to create their own. So they talked about fermentation and creating yeast, and how they sort of like to keep the same yeast growing and fermenting and using that for their bread products. So that was really interesting for the students. You can see them standing there, Jamie with his fresh loaf of bread.
Now I hear this bakery is an artisan bakery, and it's one of the best in WA, so that's quite an amazing experience. And I don't imagine anyone can walk into that bakery and do that.
No, they were really happy to open their doors to us and supply us with the bread for the Kambarang event. So it was really special for the students. I don't think that's something that they've ever done before, is going and, one, making bread, but two, using a pizza oven, and three, being in Margaret River, putting all those things together. So that was really special for them, and I think that was the best bread rolls I've tasted. So yeah, that was really good. They really enjoyed it, and each student actually spent a day writing about their experiences down in Margaret River, and the Woodfire bread suppliers actually did a big post on their Facebook page about the experience of having the students there with them as well. So that was really nice. Foraging was really special. We went down with Josh Whiteland, who is the custodian of the Margaret River region, and he's been working with us for the last few years. He's actually one of the chefs who cooks on the day as well. So when you're coming down to the event, it's Josh and Mark, the Black Olive. So he took us down to Meelup Beach, which is somewhere we haven't been before. He does cave tours as well. So we went down to Meelup Beach, and he explained to us what we should be looking for in terms of different items that we could be foraging for. So we looked for periwinkles, sea parsley, sea spinach and saltbush. But what was important was he explained to us what you should be looking for and what you shouldn't be looking for. So the images on the screen, there's flowers on these plants. So he was saying, don't pick the plants that have the flowers on top. We need the flowers to turn into seeds to create more. So don't be looking for those. And we got to actually taste each one and work out why it's important for cooking and what the different uses are. So Josh is actually demonstrating how to pick the periwinkles and what we should be looking for, and he was talking about the black foot on the bottom of the periwinkles and how we should be looking for certain ones, how they should be shiny on the surface instead of like a dull grey colour. So you can't just go around cooking and catching anything that you like. So these are actually the periwinkles, with Lee from the TAFE and then some of the students from Fitzroy Crossing. So these were used in the pasta dish, and they were taken out individually because they're a bit hard to get out when you're sitting there at the table. So that was the last masterclass that we did. The students, like I said before, stayed at TINGRITH Meeting House, which is a real special place. You can see that's going to be the fireplace in the middle. Obviously the name says meeting house. It was a really good place for the students to meet and come together as one. There's a lot of seating around the bottom, and all the beds are around the top for the students. It was a great place for them to get together at the end of the day. The kitchen's nice open space for us all to be there, no one to be excluded. So I think that really helped all the students get to know each other. You couldn't tell what student came from what school by the end of the experience. It was just 25 kids all together, all enjoying the same experience and encouraging each other. So they did a PMI at the end of each day, plus minus interesting. Some students didn't have the courage to speak out to talk to the 25 other people, but by the end of it they were calling out to each other saying, we love you, we trust you, speak to us, tell us your day, let us know your experiences. So that was something really special that all the students took back, and it was hard to leave at the end of it. We also had Ian Parmenter come down and spend some time with the students. This is some of his creations. We learned how to cook if you go on holiday in a hotel room.
Oh, that's amazing. I can see there's a kettle there with something hanging out of it.
So that was Felicity's kettle, the person who owns TINGRITH House. He was talking about how you need to put prawns on skewers and put them into your kettle so you can get them out. Mm-hmm. And then how he travels with 3 different size rolling pins, how to cook fish using an iron and some baking paper. So he takes baking paper, a pastry brush, and rolling pins with him when he goes on holidays. So that's we had hilarious. Students ironing fish and taste testing fish. So that was crazy. And he also rolled out some of the pizzas with his miniature rolling pin that we had for dinner with the wood fire pizza oven.
Did he explain how to make pizzas in a hotel room?
Not pizzas, but how to roll out dough and, how to cook lots of different things in a hotel room. And that was actually Felicity's iron that she uses at home. To bring it all together, these are all the students and some of the chefs and teachers all down at the Margaret River Senior High School, which we use as like a semi-base for preparation. Mm-hmm. So they were really great to open their doors to us, the primary school, the high school, and also the SWIT, which is joined on the same property.
So what's happening in this photo? What's about to happen, or what has just happened?
What's in the middle of happening is they've just had lunch. They've been peeling prawns for the first time for the skewers. They're doing meat prep, so preparing the lamb. They were making their own ricotta. So this was a big prep area that we used, and pasta was being made at the primary school while we were getting the coffee machine set up and the front of house set up down at the SWIT ready for the next day. So this is Friday day, getting ready for waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, ready for Saturday, the main event.
And were they nervous at this point? Because there's a main event and they've got other people coming in to eat the food, is that right?
I don't think they really got it until the day, because it's been them all week getting ready for something that they haven't experienced before. Only 2 students that were there this year had been previously.
And were they nervous?
They knew what was happening. Yeah. So they did not volunteer to go to the front of house. They were back of house in the kitchen, which is fine because some of the students are confident for that. Mm-hmm. It depends on what they wanted to do. So I asked them to volunteer for what positions they would like on the day, and the students who were at the front of the house, they all had a staff member to stand with them just in case.
And you talked about the students. By this stage, the students are gelling quite well.
Yeah.
And close. There's a lot of work going on, a lot of prep happening, a lot of produce around. What are the teachers doing? Are they in this space, or are they out doing something else at this point?
Yeah, so there's about 4 teachers in that photo, actually, around the front and down the back. So the teachers all have different jobs. So myself, I was organising the front of house, Wendy organising the coffee machine, then we have Denise, who was also the bus driver for the event as well, so she was going back and forth. Everyone is just manically trying to get things done, because the more you prep before, the less you have to prep after it in a rush. So there's Karen down the back there as well, the teacher from Hamilton Hill, peeling prawns. So we also had 2 chefs down the back as well who were preparing the meat for the next day too.
Sounds amazing. Then what happens?
So bringing it all together, this is still prep day. This is the students getting ready for pasta, periwinkles. Then we have students skewering all the prawns for the prawn skewers. So just anything that we can get done and get prepared, and also showing them what an industrial kitchen looks like. Mm-hmm. The high school wasn't an industrial kitchen, so being in an actual working space where real chefs come to put on functions is a really big step for these students. The rules for using a cool room, not leaving the door open, why it's important to say, I'm behind you when you have something hot. So learning all those things the day before is more beneficial than at the time.
So real life skills in a real life environment here.
Exactly. So this is the actual day. This is Kambarang, the event. This was our first platter that went out. It was a tasting plate. Mm-hmm. It has the bread from the wood fire pizza ovens that they made. It's got olives that the students marinated. It has the cheese on there as well, and some tapas that the students created as well using the warrigal greens that they foraged. So bringing it all together, you can see the students without the aprons are from the front of house, and then the students with the aprons on are working at the back.
Okay.
So there's just some of the dishes that went out. There was about 8 tasting plates that went out during the event. So some of them were plates and some of them were individual serves. So that's the tasting plate that we just saw before, and then we have some squid, the prawns, and the dessert, which was made for by the Hamilton Hill students with Shirley Edwards, who couldn't make the event, and then Chef Robyn Lowe, who came down. So that was individually plated for 100 people with lots of individual elements on there. Students were in the freezer quenelling all the ice cream that they churned to make sure that it didn't melt, ready to go out.
I was lucky enough to be at that initial demonstration by Shirley in Perth. She had a few kids before going down there, and she told me that the ice cream is served in the freezer. So
Yes.
it's floated up in the freezer.
Yes, so that's the same with the palate cleansers, the sorbets that were made. You have to sit in the freezer and quenelle each one of those.
So not one of the Kimberley kids?
It really just came down to any
Anyone
student who wanted to sit in the freezer.
Okay, so another question. So we've got a kind of green paste here. What's in that? So I know I can recognise some of these ingredients, but from what you're saying, a lot of these ingredients, a lot of these dishes have Indigenous ingredients added to them.
Yep, so you've got a olive tapenade, which is the brown one on the side, and then you have a warrigal green tapenade as well. So that'd be with the spinach that was foraged on the day, and there's butter which has been infused with Indigenous herbs as well. Mark likes to do a pita bread that has spices on it too. And then we've got the olives which were marinated in lemon myrtle the night before, and the fetas that the students, well not the fetas, the ricottas that the students made are in the boats down the end as well.
It's amazing. It's making me hungry, and it's completely unique.
It is, especially the bamboo, the bamboo plates that everything was on, thinking about sustainability as well and putting down the paper bark onto the plates too. So we had some barbecues set up for the lamb dish, which has been popular for the last few years. The students from the TAFE are using the barbecue to cook the lamb through, which has been marinated in different Indigenous spices as well, and then that was put onto a tasting plate for each of the tables. So you can see that was also served with some arancini balls as well, which had mushrooms, lemon myrtle inside as well, and a bit of tomato sauce on top, and some kangaroo in the corner. That's what plating up 100 desserts sort of looks like. So we had a room at the back where we plated up the desserts. You can see that was many elements put onto the plate with the tubes, individual flowers that were foraged the night before from Ian's property, which were placed on by one person, each flower with tweezers before that went out. The kangaroo.
That's stunning.
Which was served. The students were so proud when their dessert went out. The teachers were crying, students were crying. You know, they've worked so hard for this for months, and then finally to see their baby walk out to 100 people, they were so emotional. They were called the Dessert Divas, if you were wondering. So at the end of the day, this is everyone after food prep, totally exhausted but ready to go for the
So the 100 people, where did they come from? Tell me more about those people.
Well, you could actually book the tickets online, part of the Gourmet Escape. Actually, it was the first day of the Gourmet Escape, so you could buy the tickets online. There was people from Perth, people from Margaret River, all of the people from the masterclasses were provided a ticket to attend as well. So a big sort of support community for the students and for Mark and Josh who were there cooking as well.
So the students know that they're cooking for potentially a stranger who's paid for a ticket.
Yeah, they know that there's 100 guests coming, so
that seems like something that will become very real very quickly.
Exactly. You can say it, but then you don't know what it's like until there's 100 people sitting in front of you. Students, I think they could sort of visualise that once we set up all the tables and we're putting out all the plates for 100 people, and then people start turning up. They get a bit nervous because it's the end day, but it's been a massive week leading up to this final moment.
And that photo, where's that photo taken?
That's on the steps outside of the Margaret River switch. So that's all the teachers, all the staff from both Western Australia and from the eastern states, TAFE as well. So our website's down the bottom there, Prepare Produce Provide, which is where we put all the information for the different workshops that we hold throughout the year for teaching staff who can upskill for their teacher currency as well. So Prepare Produce Provide offer lots of different experiences. The Kambarang Gourmet Escape is just one of those that happens at the end of each year for the last 3 years. And we also have a Facebook page not dedicated solely for Kambarang, but for Prepare Produce Provide and everything that we do, so all the workshop photos are on there. The students actually wrote their experiences for all 7 days, so you can go on there and see the photos and what they thought of their experience. So what we think they get out of it and what they get out of it are two different things. So yeah, it's good to have the students' perspective and step back and watch them and see what they actually enjoyed and took away from the experience.
It's amazing. I think we've finished.
I think so.